Hi, welcome to Adoption Now, your adoption show. I'm April Fallon. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to Adoption Now, your adoption show. I'm your host, April Fallon. I am the adoptive mother of 4 darling kids, and I can't believe that we are at the end of season 6. It has been a really fun season, and for us, it's been really fast. We recorded super quickly, like 19 episodes in like 2.5 months. We rocked it, and we were just so thrilled and so honored that there were so many stories to tell. And I want to thank you to all of you who have submitted your stories. Just know, if I haven't gotten you on the podcast right away, it doesn't mean your story won't be told or that it's not interesting. We'll get you in season 7, I promise. And hey, if you are subscribing to Adoption Now podcast, we thank you so much. And for all of your wonderful reviews, we are going strong and headed towards 1 million downloads and over 10,000 subscribers and reaching new countries, which is very cool. I do this show because I truly, truly love adoption stories. If you have pre-interviewed with me, you know I spend a lot of time diving into your journey. And that's what makes the podcast so fun, is by the time we get to your interview, we've already spent so much time together and it's like friends just talking. And so I'm excited about today's interview because it was actually the first pre-interview I did way back when we were just about to start over. And I can't believe this, but you guys are at the very end of the season. Michael and Ashley are from Utah. Welcome to the show.
Hey, April.
We've been waiting for so long.
We have, and so much has happened since then.
I can't believe it. I can't wait to hear. So this is kind of exciting because I pre-interviewed you in one stage, and now you're in a completely different stage of your adoption journey. So this is going to be fun. I want to know how you guys heard about the podcast.
Through our adoption community. We have a couple friends who are trying to adopt as well and have adopted, and they told us about the podcast.
And your journey starts in 2019, and you guys wanted to adopt teenagers?
Well, we knew that we always wanted to adopt. Well, at least I did.
Yeah. So we have always talked about adoption. And we found ourselves in like church callings and just in the local communities, always working with young teenagers. And so that kind of, we're like, you know what, we can do this. We connect really well with that age group. You know, let's bring in some teenagers who need a loving home. And so that's kind of what we initially thought we were getting into. But then we started getting, I don't want to say like rejected, but like we would put in for cases. And then we would like, no, they're looking for a different family, or it just was a no after a no after a no.
That's funny because I love teenagers also. And I feel like I connect with them as well. And I'm like, they like me because I'm so cool. And AJ's like, no, he goes, I don't know why they like you, but it's definitely not because you're cool. But he's surprised. He's like, teenagers do like you, Mom. But I know what it's like to connect. I don't know that I would start off the journey right to a teenager and skip that baby phase, but it sounds like you guys ended up having to go through the baby phase.
Oh,
we did.
For sure.
Yeah. So we got our home study in the spring of 2019. We were putting in for teenagers for like 6-7 months. And then November 6th of 2019, we got a call from UCFS asking if we could take a 6-day-old baby girl. 6 days?
Well,
Yeah.
that's a huge difference from teenager to 6 days.
Yeah, it was wild.
Did you have a crib?
We did have a crib.
Okay.
We actually, because we didn't know what we were going to end up with, we had one room for big kids and we had one room for a baby.
You had crib to Xbox, right?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so you were excited.
Yes. So we picked her up and then we had her in our home for 10 months. And then she was successfully reunified with her family.
Were you prepared for that?
No, we were heartbroken. And
Oh, no.
Yeah.
and it probably shouldn't have happened, but since then, the family's been doing really well. But at the time, we didn't feel like it should have happened.
What were the social workers saying to you?
Oh, we were being told that we would probably be adopting her. Like the odds were that we'd be adopting her.
Yeah, there was like a false sense of hope that they kept instilling in us. And so I think that's kind of what led to the big heartbreak in the situation, is because we're like, okay, they're saying one thing, but on our meetings, something, else is going on. And so we were confused and in limbo for a while until finally they had the reunification completed. And so now here we are.
So how did that work? Did she even know her parents?
She knew her mom. She had visitations with her mom.
Okay. And did you feel confident that she was going to be okay?
No.
No, not at all.
Okay. So how did that change you? Because you're new parents. This is the first experience.
I mean, we definitely learned a lot. We learned how to be parents. It was kind of like a trial run to be parents.
Michael, did you want to answer that? As far as heartbreak goes, tell us how the heartbreak changed you.
For me, it kind of made me put some walls up for any potential future heartbreak. And so I kind of had a negative view on the system after that point, and had to deal with some things internally to try to overcome that and not be so guarded while preparing to potentially get another placement.
Okay, so how long did you wait before the next child came?
We were actually closed after that.
Okay.
And then that's when we decided, well, let's sell our house and let's adopt from an agency. Because then at that point, once rights are relinquished, no one can take your baby back. And so we listed our house. And then 3 days after it went under contract, our friend called us and said, hey, there's a 2-month-old baby boy who's more than likely going to be adopted, but his case is still at DCFS. Like, do you want him? And I went to Michael and I told him, and he's like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And so I kind of went behind his back and put in for it anyway. And then we were picked.
Well, he's laughing now, so it must have been okay.
Yeah, he's laughing now.
You were picked.
Yeah, it definitely was a surprise, but yeah, it worked out in the end.
And so you picked up this little boy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. He was 2 months old. He's with his first foster family. And then we proceeded with the selling of our house, and we had no idea what was going to happen with his case, because he was even in between states. He was in Utah, but his family was in Nevada. And so they were trying to figure out like the logistics of his case. And then after having him like we got him in October, and then in December, his case moved to Nevada. And Nevada said, we're going to try reunifying this baby. And so give us a year.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So then what?
So we did visitations. We only had 3 of them. We met halfway between them and us. And then they just quit showing up, and they just quit reaching out, and they kind of fell off at that point, the parents.
When we pre-interviewed Michael, you said that the state said to you, it is better to reunify even if it was a D- situation.
Right. Yeah. And that was so frustrating, because they told us, hey, it's going to take a year because we want to reunify. But then after, I think there was like 3 or 4 visits within the span of 3 months. Right. And then after that, they kind of fell off the face of the earth, and there was no effort made at all to have any sort of relationship or connection with our oldest son. And at that point, given past experience with our first foster care placement, then that negativity and that doubt starts to creep back in that the state's going to do the right thing and look out for the best interest in the child. And all in the back of my mind, and I'm sure in Ashley's mind too, we're just that statement of, a D-minus parent is sufficient enough. And if, as long as they're making bare minimum efforts, then we're going to keep this case going. And so it was just very frustrating.
I think that's the most shocking part when you get involved with foster care. Well, it was for Noah and I, is that very little effort can be made, and yet the child cannot be adoptable. And
Right.
we go on, and some cases more than a year, 2 years, 3 years. And it's like, come on, we have to look at what's best for the child. And this is not healthy.
Right. And sometimes you feel like, at least I did in our situation, I felt like the child at a certain point becomes a bargaining chip to get the parents to do, to correct behavior. Right. And so, and it's hard because you're like, how is this looking out for the best interest in the child? Like, in our eyes, it was, you're just trying to, I don't know, persuade or convince the parents to do what you want them to do in order to reunify them. And it's hard to not look past the flaws in the system.
Yeah, it's hard to not become angry, as you said. It's hard to not want to feel like that this is not justice. And I understand reunification. I love that part of it. When you're trained and you know what you're going into, and the parents are really working hard and just kind of, went through a rough time. I love that story. But when it's not that story, and like you said, they're not correcting behavior, and now, things are not fair and it's not right for the child, it's really hard to kind of bite your tongue and just say, hey, we just want to stay in it. I can understand why you closed your home study at first, but now you have this baby. How long before you knew he was going to be forever yours?
We didn't know until this last January. So January of 2022.
Oh my gosh.
And we got him October of 2020.
Okay. So for 2 years you kind of waited.
Yeah, like a little over a year. Yeah.
Okay. So 2020 you get him, and 2022 you finalize.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And were you fostering or adopting other children at this time?
Well, so we decided after the case went to Nevada, so December of 2020, we were still, even though we had our first son and we were fostering him, we sold our house so we could adopt with an agency. And we already turned in all our paperwork and we were working on our home study. So we're like, let's continue this. Let's go through this and see what happens. And then July 20th of 2021, we got a call for a baby boy born in Tennessee.
Okay.
So
and that's
it was
private
9
infant.
months later.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's perfect. 9 months.
Yeah. So we flew to Tennessee and picked him up, and yeah.
If people are listening right now and they're kind of confused, like, why are you selling your house? Wait, what's going on? We have done this several times. Sold houses to adopt babies. Right? Because you need like $25,000 to $30,000. And if you don't have that in your back pocket, you got to figure out a way to quickly come up with that. And sometimes selling your house is the fastest option, which was the case for us. And so we sold houses and we paid for it that way. But if you go through the foster care system, it's substantially cheaper. And in fact, most states completely free. So you go that direction, but you don't have to pay, but you're not sure if you're going to finalize. You go private infant adoption if you can afford it, but you know that termination can happen quickly. So that's why you chose it. And that's why you had to sell your house.
Exactly. And is where it's priorities, where we placed our priorities. And we've been wanting a family for so long. And that was, at the end of the day, we sat down, okay, we could take out loans, but then we're going to be in debt forever. Mm-hmm. We could sell our house and have that money right there. And so at the end of the day, that's what we decided through thought and prayer that's what we needed to do. And we did it. And it was crazy too, how quickly we went from fostering, and then 9 months later we get a call and they're like, you need to make a decision right now to come out to Tennessee and pick up this boy, yes or no. And we're like, can we have a little bit of time? And they're like, no, like we'll give you, I think it was like an hour or so that they said they would give us to respond back. And I was still working And Ashley's like, what are we going to do? And so it was a very quick process. And we're like, you know what? Like, this is the path that we're kind of being led on. And so let's do it. And so we said yes without even knowing very much information about the biological parents of this baby boy or much about his situation. And we just hopped on a plane.
Yeah, all we knew about our son was that one of his ears didn't fully develop and they didn't know if he could hear. And then the mom wanted a closed adoption. That was all we knew.
Okay. And were you okay with that?
It was scary, but we were fine with it.
And did you take the other child that you had on the plane?
No, he stayed with his first foster family.
Okay. Because he wasn't finalized yet.
No. And we have an amazing relationship with his first foster family. So we felt comfortable with him staying with them while we were gone.
Okay. So you get to the hospital and what was that like?
It was surreal. It was crazy because we kept like the whole way on the plane, driving, everything. We're like, can you believe we're picking up another baby boy? Like, can you believe we're parents again? Like, it was really surreal and beautiful.
And what did you name him?
Bo.
Bo? Aw. What did you name the first baby? Or what was the first baby's name?
So after we adopted him, we named him Michael after my husband. So we call him Mikey.
Aw, Mikey and Bo. This is so cute.
Thank you.
Okay, so you bring the baby home and everything's smooth from that point as far as paperwork?
Yeah.
We already did. Yeah, we already did a lot of the paperwork and signed everything. And so we literally they're like, hey, where's the deposit or the payment? And we paid them as I think we were driving up from Atlanta to Knoxville. And we were trying to get money sent over and moved, and it was just chaos.
Yeah.
And when you sold your house, did you buy another one?
No, we rented from my father-in-law. His dad passed away from COVID. And so he had a house that needed to be renovated. So we renovated it for him so we could live in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great provision. Okay, so now you have 2 boys, and are you done?
No. Well,
what?
At the time we were thinking we might have been.
We thought we were.
Really?
And then, yeah. So for months, with Mikey's case, I just kept feeling like I needed to tell the caseworker in the court that if his mom has another baby, we want them in our home. We want to keep siblings together. We still have our foster care license. Like, let us take care of them. And so I had been saying that for months after we got Bo. And then on November 24th, I got a text message that said, hey, mom just had a baby. The baby's in Utah at the hospital. When could you go see him?
November 24th, 2021. Oh my goodness. These children are very close together in age.
Yeah.
Were you so excited though?
Apart. So excited. So incredibly excited. Kind of, but almost feeling that guilt too of a parent is like, oh, we had Bo so quickly after Mikey, and now we're having this baby so quickly after Bo. And you almost feel divided as a parent, bringing a baby in so fast. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. They love each other so much, and even though they're babies, they all play so well together, and they love each other, and it's so, so precious.
And how old are they?
So we have a 20-month-old, a 9-month-old, and a 5-month-old.
Oh my goodness. You have 3 in diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever we tell people, we're like, yeah, we have 3 babies under 2. They're like, what? They just give us this look like, y'all are crazy. And we kind of are, but it's working out. So. And
did you finalize? What's the last baby's name?
So we want to name him Beckham. He is not finalized yet. Yeah, we have our permanency hearing next week, but parents have asked for us to adopt him, and they're going to be relinquishing next week.
Okay. Have you found that COVID has slowed this whole process down?
With Mikey's case, it definitely did. Sure. Now with Beckham's case, it hasn't. Like, it's normal.
Okay. Things are back to normal now. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So now what? Are you guys done now? It's hard to ask. She said no.
No, you're okay. I really want to explore embryo adoption.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started
Yes.
on that. If you are a
I think it'd be
listener,
so
you
cool.
know that I'm so passionate about that. I think that the whole thing is just absolutely amazing. I recently had somebody send me a message and they're like, that's not adoption. And I was like, well, it is. They're like, well, it's surrogacy. I'm like, no, what? It is adoption because it's not your DNA. And
Yeah.
you're adopting someone else's child. I guess it depends on when you think a baby is a baby.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
consider embryos babies. And so giving them a life and carrying them, but it's somebody else's DNA, but you're carrying this adopted embryo and you give birth to your adopted baby. I think it's very cool. I think it's very exciting. And in some cases, they have open adoptions where the child knows their biological siblings and their parents, their biological parents.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Something along the lines of that.
But they're not their birth parents. Isn't that weird? They're their biological parents, but you are the birth parent because you actually gave birth to them. Head exploded.
Right.
Exactly.
The whole thing. I mean, can you imagine that and having to explain that and your other kids that are so close in age? Everybody's going to be like, what is going on over there with that family?
It's true. And then on the side of that too, if Mikey and Beckham's mom has another baby, I want them because she's had 4 kids total. The older 2 are with their dad, and then we have the younger 2.
Do you have
So
a
if she has any
relationship?
more kids, we want them. Yes, we do. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So they live in Nevada. They actually came this last weekend.
Really? Like stayed with you?
Yeah. They didn't stay in our house. They had a hotel, but they came and they hung out with us for 2 days, and it was a blast.
Tell people about that. Was it hard for her? Was she happy?
I think the major concern that she had was their oldest boy, because she's been wanting baby brothers for the longest time, and she's like, well, little do you know, you have 2 in Utah, right? And I think the biggest concern and hesitancy was to make sure that he was okay, because he suffered through a lot of trauma as a young infant. And so, but I mean, when they were here, it was amazing. Mikey was playing with him, and we were teaching him how to say the names of the 2 kids that came. And so it was just a really fun time to see those connections. And even to this morning, Ashley went to get Mikey up from waking up, and he was asking where his older brother was. And it was just super cute that he's made that connection now. And he's like, hey, where is he at? Where is he?
Aww.
So it's pretty cool.
And is Bo deaf? Did he end up
So
being
he's
deaf?
hard of hearing.
Okay.
He doesn't have his left ear. No, he doesn't have his right ear. Sorry. He doesn't have his right ear. It's not fully formed, but his left ear, the ear canal is closed. So no sound can get through. He actually has a device called a Baha, and he can hear through bone conduction. So he has like a little hearing aid that he wears on a headband.
Aw. So he can hear you. He just is hard of hearing.
He can hear with the assistance of his device.
Okay.
But without it, he can hear like 45 decibels and higher. So like if he was next to a lawnmower, he could hear that. And it would be like a whisper to him.
I just watched this news story about this lady, this artist who, this is so weird that we're talking about this, but she creates ears. She designs ears, for children who are born without ears or they lose an ear. She was doing a child that was attacked by a dog and giving him these prosthetic ears, but she does it in an amazing way because she's so talented. So I'll send you that information, but I think it's an interesting story.
Thank you. That is really unique.
Yeah, and she does them identical to like if they pick their family's ears. Like if they don't have either, she mimics like a family ear or like can do the exact same ear to the other one. It was very cool. And that she was so motivated to do that as an artist. Just a weird little...
That was awesome.
I know. How weird that I just watched that and then we were just talking about that. But your children are adorable. I can't wait to put this picture. Is this you guys at Easter?
It was us at the cherry blossom. Like it was our family photo.
Just before Easter, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question. About the little girl that you had, you said that she's doing great. Do you still see her?
Oh yeah.
You do?
And I'm glad you brought this up, because it's one thing that I think we kind of gloss over a little bit is the relationships, the impact and importance of the relationships between foster parents, adoptive parents, and the biological parents. Because Ashley's been amazing at fostering those relationships with the biological parents for all of the children that we've had, with the exception of Bo, just because that's a closed adoption. But yeah, we see our foster daughter probably once a month or once every other month. And even her mom now will like reach out to Ashley for advice or for questions that she may have on things. And so it's just awesome to see that from where we were at the beginning of our foster daughter's case to where we are now, and just being that support for her so that way she can flourish. So it's just been amazing.
It's healthy for her too, to not lose you two in her life, but to have you and your family as, extended part of her life is really good for her. And so getting past, the injustice or the pain in order to have that relationship is really important, as you said.
Yeah. And it's amazing because our boys they love up on her when she comes usually it's for like a weekend or an overnight stay. And then now she has a biological sister. So her little sister that she loves up on her little sister now. And it's just a beautiful thing to see where this whole story has come from the start and where it is now.
I love that. I love that adoption can be a really beautiful thing, even though it starts off kind of messy sometimes. It can all come together.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I am so happy that you wrote your story in and that we waited for now to talk about it, because now we can talk about Beckham and just talk about the things that you've been through. I feel like even talking to you now, you guys have changed and are growing so much more than even in November.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Completely.
Michael and Ashley.
Thank you, April.
Yes, thank you very much.
And thank you for listening. We'd love for you to subscribe to our weekly podcast and follow us on social media. Thanks for joining us on Your Adoption Show. See you next week.